It is 5 p.m. I will call this council meeting to order for the Township of Georgian Bluffs. And we'll start with the territorial acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge with respect the history and living culture of the Anishinaabeg, the people of the Three Fires known as Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi Nation, who have inhabited this land from time immemorial. We recognize that these lands are the territories of the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash, collectively known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, the keepers of this land. Georgian Bluffs is located on lands encompassed by treaties 45.5, 67, 72, 82, and 93. We reflect on our role as treaty people and the need to live in respect and peace and show respect to the First Peoples who inhabit these lands and waters. Adoption of the agenda. The recommendation is that the agenda be approved as presented. Does anyone have any items they would like to add to the agenda this evening? Seeing none, I will ask for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor McComb and Councillor Day. I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Does any member have a pecuniary interest to declare? Councillor Day.
I have an interest in item 16.1 on the basis of my personal relationship with some of the persons involved in the agenda item, which is the topic of council's discussion.
That is actually when we're going into closed session. Okay. Minutes of previous meetings. The recommendation is that the meeting minutes contained herein be adopted. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Coburn, Deputy Mayor Pringle. Is there any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Announcements. Does any member wish to make an announcement? I will actually start. I have a couple of here to start with, and then I'll go to you, Councillor Coburn. On Saturday, November 8th, we marked Indigenous Veterans Day, and this is time to honor and recognize the bravery, sacrifice, and contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis veterans who served our country in times of war, peace, and conflict. And yesterday, on November 11th, we joined together across the region in observing Remembrance Day. It is a meaningful time to pay tribute to all those who have served and continue to serve in the Canadian Armed Forces. We remember their courage and their deep commitment to peace and freedom. Councillor Coburn.
Thank you. On October 28th, 125 elementary students from 24 schools across Grey and Bruce attended the 4th annual Youth Climate Action Conference. It might be the 2nd annual, I'm not sure, but where I got 4th. I could be wrong about that. This event was led by the Sustainability Project, and it allowed for students, educators, and community organizations to come together to learn and collaborate on climate action projects. Students participated in hands-on workshops that explored water, land, and energy themes. In one of the workshops, I understand the students planted a mini forest of 160 trees and shrubs on the Bayshore property. The day ended with students sharing their project ideas, and that included creating pollinator gardens and starting a school composting program, among many others. I wish to express my thanks to all of the organizations that contributed to this exciting day, and in particular, the community change makers and volunteers who gave of their time to facilitate this conference. The enthusiasm of the students was incredibly inspiring.
Thank you. Councillor Day.
I apologize for not being as prepared, but did want to take a moment to acknowledge the 40th anniversary of Sheeder is this year. If you're unfamiliar with this organization, they produce original theatrical works through interacting with community groups. I know they've worked with schools to look at bullying and then perform those pieces within the school setting or wherever else whatever other groups they're working with. There are some strong Georgian Bluffs members within Sheeder, and they will be performing on Saturday, November 15th at the Great Roots Museum.
Yes, and actually I have been invited to go to that. I do have another item to add here that's taking place tomorrow from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Sydenham campus in the hot desk room, 1130 8th Street, East Owen Sound. Grey County is inviting families and caregivers to share their feedback on childcare services for children with special needs. And they're asking people to join the early learning and child care staff for a community town hall to help shape how these services can better meet families' needs. Any other announcements? Okay. Public hearings. Recommendation that council meeting be recessed to hold a public hearing for zoning bylaw application Z1025 for lands legally described as HMS Part Lot 20. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Winters? Councillor Scholz? Any discussion? I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. This meeting has been called to consider zoning bylaw amendment application Z1025. Madam Clerk, please advise the method by which notice of this public meeting was given.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, notice of this public meeting was given by ordinary mail to all property owners within 120 meters, 400 feet of the subject property, by email to all the prescribed bodies on October 20th, 2025, posted at the subject property and posted on the Township of Georgian Bluffs website. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Georgian Bluffs before the proposed zoning bylaw is adopted or passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Township of Georgian Bluffs to the local planning appeal tribunal. The person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the local planning appeal tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And Planner, please proceed with your review of the application.
Thank you, and through to the chair. So the purpose of application Z1025 is to seek relief from section 5.1.1 of the Township of Georgian Bluffs zoning bylaw 2020-020 to permit the construction of a garage, which is classified as an accessory structure on the property without the requirement of the principal residential dwelling. The applicant is also seeking relief from section 5, accessory structures, table 5.1 of the zoning bylaw to permit a lot coverage of 14.5%, whereas a maximum of 5% is currently permitted for accessory structures on the subject property, as well as the applicant is seeking relief from section 8 of the agricultural zone to increase the lot coverage from 10% to 14.5% to facilitate the development of the proposed accessory structure. No other amendments to the zoning bylaw have been requested at this time. Based on staff's review of the application, staff are of the opinion that the proposed zoning bylaw amendment to facilitate the site-specific agricultural zone maintains the intent of the Provincial Planning Statement 2024, the County of Grey Official Plan, and the Township of Georgian Bluffs zoning bylaw 2020-020. With regards to relevant consultation pertaining to this application, notice of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment was issued on October 20th, 2025, and the following comments have been received thus far. We have received comments from the County of Grey Planning and Development Services Department dated October 30th, 2025, indicating that the County Transportation Services have reviewed the proposal and offered the following comments. The proposed garage is located outside of the 23-meter or 75-foot setback requirement from the center line of the county right-of-way, and as such, transportation staff have no concerns as pertains to the application. We did receive comments with regards to the karst topography, as it was staff's understanding that the property may contain potential hazardous karstic bedrock that may be unstable and unable to support the development. Building upon karst bedrock features has the potential to damage property and infrastructure and put health and safety of the landowners and residents at risk. As such, county staff are recommending that a condition of approval be added that reads, where significant karstic features, such as bedrock features, are located during the site preparation and at the building stage, that the applicant would complete a hazardous karst study by a qualified engineer to support the application. As a result of receiving that comment, staff did add that as a condition of approval onto the zoning application. Additionally, the applicant has noted that, the county has noted that they were recommending that the site be reviewed for a potential housing development on that site, but it is staff's opinion that the site, due to its regular size, and due to site constraints with regards to setbacks from the rear lot line, the center line of the county roadway, it makes it an awkward feasibility to situate a dwelling on that particular parcel. So with regards to that, staff don't have a concern with regards to that, as the proposed shed does not hinder future development, but appropriate relief would have to be sought at that time. And that's why we're recommending that the no dwelling clause be added through the zoning bylaw amendment process to ensure that the garage isn't going to be utilized down the road for a residential unit without seeking the appropriate relief from the bylaw. We did receive comments from GEI Canada dated October 20th, 2025, noting that the property is not within a drainage area of the municipal drain, and as such, they have no further comments to make. Responsible Conservation and Risk Management Office provided comments on October 20th, noting that the property falls outside of the vulnerable source protection area, and therefore that does not apply to the Clean Water Act. And lastly, from Grey Sauble Conservation Authority, staff note that the property is not regulated by the Grey Sauble Conservation Authority, and therefore it does not conflict with the intent of Ontario Regulation 4124. Staff do note we have received written comments with regards to this application, and are aware that the individuals who submitted those comments are in attendance at the meeting tonight, and would welcome them to come up to the council to provide their comments. But other than that, that is the extent of the comments received thus far. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, 2 members of the public have registered with the clerk to provide comments in support of or in opposition to the application. And Janice and Dave Patchell, I welcome you to come forward to the podium and make comments if you would like. Just state your name when you come up so that the clerk can have record.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Janice Patchell and
Hi, David.
make our comments and concerns about the application. And we did submit our comments in writing to the township. Concerned about the size of the accessory structure without a residence on the property and what could be and might be stored in the property. For example, batteries, chemicals, hazardous materials, etc., when it is an off-site storage facility. And that might not be favorable to the surrounding area. You have anything you want to say?
Also to address for Grey County, we're in a constrained area. We're in a constricted area there with the roundabout, and coming off the roundabout, there is no southbound entrance onto said property. There's only northbound, and we're constantly bombarded with people turning around their laneway. We've counted 50 to 100 vehicles on a long weekend turning around their laneway because they made the wrong turn, or they're coming out and they can't turn the other way. This only adds to confusion, and we've already ended up with a fatality in our field at this time, so I don't need any more. And so I wondered if they considered that when they were going to approve that. I mean, it seems out of the way, but it's not out of the way. That's part of the construction. And there's no speed limit design on that roundabout. There's no speed limit reduction whatsoever. Any place else reduces to a 70 and a 50. This is straight 80. There's no speed reductions there whatsoever, so it can only cause even more confusion. So that's my biggest complaint. I don't need, every time they turn around, that Bruce County grade the road on the shoulder. They do a nice job of it, and then by the time the weekend's over, there's a channel going right in my laneway. That's why any rain and stuff, my laneway's all flooded with rain. That does erase anything that the county done by grading and stuff. And sometimes they don't turn around at the end of the laneway. They come right in the house and turn around. I don't need any more of that, so that's one of my biggest complaints.
Also, concern, now you mentioned Grey County, different studies might be required. What about an archaeological study? Because it's the half-mile strip. It used to be called the Indian half-mile strip. And I've lived in Mill Valley forever. So I'm just concerned about, maybe should be an archaeological study done too if council decides to go ahead. I think that's pretty well all.
I thank you very much
Thank you.
for listening to us.
Thank you for coming in. Does council have any questions regarding the proposed application? Councilor Coburn?
I would turn to staff, if I may, through you, Chair Carlton, to respond to some of those concerns and complaints that have been brought forward. I find it interesting that we call it an accessory building, but it's not really an accessory building if there's not a main building there. So I don't know how that differs from other, zoning regulations or requirements, or I also am having a bit of a deja vu over another situation that we've experienced where someone was building a garage not to be used for commercial use, and then it ended up perhaps becoming that over time. So I do wonder how we mitigate that situation as well.
Thank you. And again, through you, the chair. So with regards to the comments received, pertaining to the roadway itself, we did receive comments from the County of Grey's transportation team indicating that they do have no concerns with the location of the proposed accessory structure, as it is set back that 23 meters from the center line of the county roadway. With regards to the speed, again, that would be up for discussion at the county as it pertains to that specific comment. With regards to the structure itself, so with regards to it being an accessory structure, would be with it not containing a dwelling in of itself. So bathroom, no septic is being proposed at this time, which alleviates any concerns with regards to nitrates control in the property. There's no kitchen and no bedrooms. So without that human habitation component of the structure, that alleviates that concern from a planning perspective of it being an accessory structure rather than a dwelling. And then again, we're putting that condition on prior to the fact to note that a no dwelling should be located within that structure, as they have not sought appropriate relief for that structure with regards to setbacks. They're replying under section 5, table 5.1, outlined in section 5 of the general regulations, which does permit accessory structures. Again, there's that caveat with lot coverage, and that's why we are here tonight. But with regards to that, so it's an accessory structure because it's not intended for human habitation. But with regards to furthering on your question, it going to a commercial component, so home industry is permitted on agricultural lots to a certain scale. So we know that that can be a problem for sure. But again, the applicant's not intending, at least from discussions with the agent, to utilize that space for a commercial purpose rather than just for storage at this time. And if they were looking to go to a commercial designation, they would have to, again, come back to council for that appropriate zoning, whether it be commercial or to facilitate an on-site commercial use in excess of what the zoning bylaw currently permits. I see I might have raised a few more questions, so if there's additional questions.
One that occurred to me, did I not read in there that there's no hydro going to this building as well? There's to be no water and no septic, but was it not no hydro as well?
I didn't read that.
That wasn't noted on the application.
Okay, I don't know where I got that idea that.
There is currently hydro on that lot.
Okay.
Existing building.
If I might, through you, Chair, to the staff again. I have a couple questions. I can take turns with other folks or ask them all at once as desired. First, just checking in regarding comment from the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation. Is this a situation in which we have sent out information and not heard back? Or I can tell you're ready to answer the question.
Correct, and through you, the chair. So we did circulate Saugeen Ojibwe Nation on the application, and we have not received comments to date from their office pertaining to this application.
And just, if I may continue to help our folks who've come to delegate tonight in terms of navigating the system, should they have concerns regarding speeding on this section of road? It sounds like a county matter, and we have some county representatives here tonight. Is there a best way for the Patchells to bring forward their concern about the speed at the right spot for that question to be addressed?
I'm going to suggest that speed through the roundabout would be a provincial highway. That the province would have set that on the provincial highway, so we'd have to come at that from there before the county could have input.
It's possible no one in the room knows exactly how to address the province regarding that. But it should be something we could figure, that could be figured out. Councillor, I'm sorry, I'm starting to chair the meeting. I just saw your hand.
Go ahead.
So a couple of things, if I may, through you, Chair Carlton. Councillor Day has raised the point about the lack of comment from SON. But to pick that ball up a little bit, do we just then assume they're okay with it because we haven't heard from them? Or do we reach out? Do we, our delegation has suggested perhaps there needs to be an archaeological study. I don't know how you feel about that, but just not hearing from an agency at all leaves some concerns in my mind.
That's you. I'm sure I can respond to that. Given that tonight's the initial public meeting where we are receiving comments, quite often we will receive comments from agencies after the public meeting takes place. We've, in a few instances, not received comments from the Grace Level Conservation Authority until after the public meeting takes place, or occasionally from Saugeen Ojibwe Nation. So what we can do is, if we don't receive comments by the end of the week, I'm sure Ben or I can reach out to Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, see if they do indeed have comments, if they are requesting archaeological assessment. Quite often they do when it comes to a zoning matter or another planning act matter. So I think it's just prudent to reach out to those agencies to see if we can receive comments from them.
And I just have another
Go ahead.
question. So this might be mishearing or misunderstanding, but I thought that staff had indicated the increase in lot coverage was going from 10 to 14%, but the note provided by the folks that are here delegating suggests it's 5 to 14, so almost triple. So can you just provide some clarity, please?
And through you, the chair, happy to. So there's two components of the bylaw. So one being table 5.1, which regulates the size of accessory structures. So that permits 5% for the accessory structures on agricultural lots. Again, staff note that this isn't a regularly sized lot that is small in nature for what would be permitted today for a severance for an agricultural property. With regards to the 10%, that would be the total lot coverage that's permitted within Section 8 for agricultural zones. So that's where those two numbers kind of come into play here. With that. Yeah.
Let me digest.
Of course.
Councillor Day.
My third question is, I'm making a guess, a prediction here that the Township of Georgian Bluffs is not the regulatory body for how materials are stored in this accessory structure in the future. If residents have concerns, what agency does govern storage of agricultural materials?
So it would be dependent on the use. So with regards to if it was manure or something along those lines, we would do the minimum distance of separation calculations to facilitate that. But really with regards to the batteries, as noted, it'd be regulated by the Grace Level Risk Management Office, as they would regulate fuel storage on the site or any hazardous components.
Winners.
Thank you, through the chair, maybe through staff there. as I read it, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. And I read it and I reread it. We've got an agricultural piece of property and we're proposing to put a garage on it. Nowhere does it say the garage is an accessory to an agricultural use. It doesn't tell me what we're doing. We talk about, we're not going to have a residential component in there, but home-based occupations and industries are permitted, but we don't have a home. It really, I mean, I get it. I don't understand all of what's here. That's why we're here to have questions. But it doesn't sound right to me. We've got the smallest agricultural piece of property I've ever seen, being 100 by 117. We want to put a garage in there, but nobody said, hey, the applicant's a bona fide farmer and this is farm related. We want to put a shed there so at some point in time we can still put a residential use there and still have home industry. It's got the flavor to me, and I hate to say it, we're backdooring some things here. This is really what this seems to me, and I have to be the elephant in the room to bring that up. But I've read it and reread it, but maybe somebody can shed some light on to tell me that this is a bona fide farmer, this is a farm storage building. They own the adjacent property, this is an accessory to their use. But I don't see that written in here.
So, and through the chair, so staff know that the owner is a resident who seasonally locates to the township of Georgian Bluffs. And based on discussions with the applicant, they are just looking to utilize that shed for storage of their hobby accessory toys and whatnot. There's been no discussion about establishing a home industry, though that could come down the line with appropriate zoning permissions. But with regards to the intended use, it's simply just intended for storage of the personal belongings. But yes, they aren't the farmer locally, and they do not own adjacent properties.
Garage is not farm related use.
Correct.
Any other comments or questions? Ryan's not registered, so he can't speak, can he?
The agent.
Are you the agent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask, is does the agent have the time to address the concerns? If it's a public meeting, maybe that's appropriate.
Yep, sorry. I didn't realize that that's why you were here, Ryan, so. And just state your name and that you are the agent.
My name is Ryan Gregg. I work at Miller's Home Building Center and the agent for Mr. Tree Rene. His name's difficult to say. I call him Mike. Mike actually has a cottage at Chesley Lake, not in Georgian Bluffs. He has another property in Georgian Bluffs. His cottage property is very steep and doesn't allow for him to build a garage on his own cottage area. He bought the property just hoping to put up a storage spot for his boat, his four-wheeler. He's got a couple rafts and sand toys. And it's strange. When we started this project, I expected it to be a residential lot. It is sandwiched between the Bell Building and a dilapidated building on the corner of the roundabout. Finding out that it was agricultural was surprising because, as Mr. Winters mentioned, it's 100 by 117, which is a pretty small farm. It's also not really conducive to building a house really ever. It wouldn't be very appealing. So our first crack at this, Mr. Tree Rene didn't want to do it, put the lot up for sale. He didn't sell it for a year and a half, took it off, and now he's kind of trying to move forward again just to build a shop. He'd be willing to sign some sort of contract to say that he's not going to establish a business at this property. And then if you were to sell it in the future, I guess that would have to go on the property on the bill of sale or on the deed. But I can definitely say it's not an issue, and same with the battery storage or anything like that. It's not of a concern. It's really just his cottage toys. So, yeah, any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mark Earl. Yeah, and thanks, Ryan, for that information there, because I was leaning towards it's more agricultural related farming stuff, but obviously it's not. And actually, if it's toys and stuff like that, you're not probably going to be bringing in fertilizers and chemicals and stuff like that. It's just that it's all toys. But I would like to see us put in a provision there that no other buildings can be added to the property. Whether we have to change anything on that to do that, but if he's allowed to build this building, then that's it. There'll be no more additions to that property. I do feel for the bachelors and the people turning around their laneways, but I'd want to believe that one guy owning our property won't be having multiple cars coming in and out, I wouldn't think. Obviously, I don't want to see a home-based business there either, if possible. If we can nail it down that it's going to be that structure for him, and that's what's there, then I'm probably okay with that. But if it's any more than that, I'm not probably going to go for it. So, no comment.
Councillor Day.
I appreciate the information and just feel, I would have appreciated knowing that information earlier in this process. I've just been trying to reread the documents with this context in mind. So to try and process this quote that the property is better suited to accommodate a standalone accessory structure that supports agricultural use activities doesn't feel like a very transparent process for us to go through with the public. So I just need a minute to digest and figure out this new lens on this property before I'm ready to make a decision. But I just wanted to pass that feedback on through the chair to our staff that I would appreciate as much transparency as possible if this is using agricultural policy to support recreation. I have some thoughts about that I haven't fully processed yet in terms of this is a quirky small piece of agricultural land, but would we do this on another agricultural plot to put an accessory building that's for agriculture to store boats and four-wheelers? So I have some questions at the moment and would appreciate a discussion from council if other people have things to say.
There is actually a recommendation here that goes into some of the provisions that would be applied to this property. So perhaps if I read that out, it's a lengthy one, Ryan, I'll let you sit down. It has been demonstrated that zoning bylaw amendment application Z1025 for the lands described as HMS Part Lot 20, submitted by MDT Holdings, care of Michael Truernet, is consistent with the provincial planning statement PPS 2024, conforms with the County of Grey official plan and Township of Georgian Bluffs official plan, and complies with the overall intent Township of Georgian Bluffs zoning bylaw. Subject to the following provisions, it is recommended that application Z1025 be approved and that the amending bylaw be prepared and forwarded to council for adoption. 1, that the amending bylaw includes 2, a provision which shall prohibit a residential dwelling unit within the proposed accessory structure. 3, a provision which shall permit construction of a garage classified as an accessory structure on the property without the requirement of a principal building. 4, a provision to permit relief from Section 5, Table 5.1 of the zoning bylaw to permit a lot coverage of 14.5%, where a maximum of 5% is currently permitted, and from Section 8, Table 8.2, to increase the permitted lot coverage from 10% to 14.5%. And 5, where significant karstic features such as bedrock fractures are encountered during site preparation and/or construction, a karst hazard study must be completed by a qualified engineer to support the application. So if I have a mover and a seconder, then we can carry on discussion. Deputy Mayor Pringle, I have a seconder.
For the sake of
Councillor Colbert?
discussion?
Yeah. Councillor Colbert? Okay, so we'll open it up for discussion again. Councillor Colbert.
I'm not feeling 100% comfortable with the lot coverage going from 5% to 14.5%. And or rather the maximum of 5% is currently permitted, and now we're being asked to approve 14.5. That's almost 3 times the allowable lot coverage. I'm not feeling really comfortable about that.
Councillor Winters.
I'm still, and again, nothing regarding the applicant, it's the process that the property is zoned agricultural, period. But we're looking for amendments to our bylaw for lot coverage and setbacks and things like that. We are not looking for amendment for use. The use proposed is not agricultural, but the property is zoned agricultural. This is where I really struggle with the fundamental that we're missing step one. If it were an agricultural use, then I would say, hey, okay, let's look at the merit of lot coverage and different things that way. But we've just identified that the use proposed is not agricultural. The owner is not agricultural. This property is owned agricultural. Should the entire zoning of the property be changed? Which would make more sense, because the optics of what's going on feels like this isn't clear.
I'd like to speak to that if
Yes.
I could. First of all, just to wheel back time, I agree with what Councillor Day said. I think that the way the application was made and the purposes stated therein, I don't think reflected the true use. I think Ryan clarified that, which is good. And what you say too is not incorrect. Most definitely, that's not your conventional agricultural use. But I think, and to include everybody, I think that the point of making that building bigger, I mean, we've got a lot here that isn't very useful for really anything. It's still a modest sized building. It's a very modest sized lot. It's a modest sized building. And yes, it's zone agricultural, but lots of us have barns that have snowmobiles in them and classic tractors and aren't necessarily using those for, say, livestock. So I'm not sure that, that we need to complicate things by rezoning, but I think it needs to be stated what it's actually there for. So again, sort of going back to the first point, I think that it would have been a lot more transparent, maybe is the word, I don't know. I would have said clear to suggest what that building's really be used for. I don't get hung up personally on the idea that the lot would need to be, rezoned. It just doesn't seem to, it doesn't seem that important in the context. We've all agreed, like you said, Councillor Winters, it's too small for any real agricultural use. It'll be presumably a nice looking, well-kept new structure that's got some so-called toys in it, which, again, would be okay for me to put on my farm and then park my snow machines in without rezoning my farm. So those are my thoughts.
Just, can I ask a question here first, Councillor Coburn? How did we arrive at an agricultural lot of this size?
So when you look at the overall area, that area is, for whatever reason, when they did it, is designated as agricultural in our official plan, which then falls through that the zone is agricultural. There are other uses in that, I guess, hamlet, you might want to call it, that are zoned other things, commercial or what have you. And this particular lot, for whatever reason, just retained an agricultural zone. So even at the staff level, we struggled with, it's not an agricultural lot. We all recognize that it's not an agricultural lot, but we're essentially trapped, I guess, within the parameters around an agricultural zone. We could, I suppose, zone it back to residential or something like that. But then that opens other questions. Is it big enough to be a viable residential lot? Likely not. It's pretty small, even for, and considering it's all on private services, this is a pretty small lot for that. So it really kind of begs the question about, we could change the zone, but that might not help us. It's more of, we should really tune in on like the site-specific zoning that recognizes that for whatever reason, it's an agricultural zone, we're kind of stuck with that. But then let's kind of boil down the uses on it so that the uses are then comfortable with council. And all of this information, Ben and I have been taking notes and chatting a little bit back and forth. Keeping in mind this is the public meeting, so all of that information is coming to us, and we can gather all that information, try to make some sense and provide some answers, and then we would come back with a recommendation report at a future meeting.
Thank you. I'm satisfied with what you just said, Michael. I like Councillor Winters. I'm uncomfortable with feels like we're trying to fit a round peg into a square hole here. And in other instances, we've asked people to rezone their property in order to do what they want to do with it so that it fits with the zoning status, and here we're not. So I don't like inconsistency. I like things, I like rules. I like to follow a certain procedure. So I'm feeling a little apprehensive about that as well.
CAO, do you have a comment here? No? Michael?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that's that's a good comment, that when we analyze this more, it's, even though the applicants, they've applied for a zoning amendment, in the end, it's staff and council that ultimately dictates what that zone would look like that best fits the municipality. And perhaps there is maybe it is a residential zone. It's something that we just can't give the answer to tonight. We'd have to analyze that a little bit more before we can come up with the best options for that one.
Any other questions or concerns? Councillor Day.
If we do end up voting in support of the resolution as stated, does it leave room for an opinion from the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation to be received and processed as part of the application?
And to Madam Chair, Councillor Day, certainly there is still time. We have to, as I mentioned earlier, we will reach out to them, get some sort of response from them. We'll be bringing this report back. Typically, if it's a pretty clean amendment, we try to bring back the reports quickly. With this one, with a number of questions and concerns from both residents and council, it may take us a bit to get a response back, but we will do our best to make it timely.
And through the chair, so the recommendation is that it be approved and forwarded to a future council meeting. So rather than the word approved, it would be staff's opinion that we should recommend that to deferred. So I amend that motion. Pass it over to clerk.
Thank you.
Say that consideration of the application be deferred and that staff be directed to bring forward a report responding to the concerns of council and public as provided at the public hearing.
And I have a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Coburn, Councillor Day. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so I will now call for an adjournment for this hearing. The recommendation that the public hearing be adjourned and council be resumed at 5:42 p.m. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor McComb, Councillor Winters, all in favor? That is carried. This public hearing is now adjourned. Moving on, we have no public participation items tonight, but for anyone wanting to delegate on agenda items or any person who wishes to appear before council regarding an item on the agenda must register with the clerk's office. To register, you can complete the online delegation form at www.georgianbluffs.ca/delegations or call the clerk's office at 519-376-2729 extension 603. Or register in council chambers with the clerk prior to the meeting start time of 5 p.m. Consent agenda. Does any member wish to pull items from the consent agenda? Councillor Coburn?
9.1.1, please.
Anyone else? Councillor Winters?
9.3.7 and 9.3.8.
Councillor Winters pulled one already.
Okay. So, recommendation is that council of the Township of Georgian Bluffs adopt the consent agenda for information as circulated, less items 9.1.1, 9.3.7, and 9.3.8. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Coburn and Deputy Mayor Pringle. Is there any discussion? Call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. So, Councillor Coburn, I'll go to you first with 9.1.1.
Thank you. And this is in regards to the applications for delegations at Roma, and the deadline is Tuesday. So we did have a quick discussion about this at a previous meeting, but I don't think we came up with anything unless I'm mistaken. So I will be at this conference, and I'm just wondering if there's been any thought as to delegating for this one, or if so, what would we be delegating for?
I will turn to the CAO on this to start with.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, we had a conversation with our partners that we shared the Northbury Union Library with, consideration of approaching the appropriate ministry about the level of funding that we receive. So you're all familiar with library board funding and how the challenge is for us and our partners to maintain that library with very limited ministry funding. So reached out to our partners who are have both communicated an interest in doing a delegation about libraries. So ironically, I just sent a message before we came in here to say we have to get together and make sure that we get that in on time. So aware that it is the 18th, and it's our intention to, of all the partners, to put a delegation from the ministry for that.
Any other comments? Councillor Day?
In addition to the funding for libraries that's been frozen since the 90s, looking at the Ontario digital libraries, tackling that from a provincial level instead of a municipal level would be far more affordable for all libraries around the province.
Go ahead.
If I may, thank you. Through you, Mayor, I think we'll come back to you for some help with language and direction in that, but I appreciate your comments and definitely have that.
Thank you.
Councillor Winters?
Thank you. I think any delegation we can get is important, and whether that's infrastructure, whether that's bridges, recycling water systems, whatever, I think we should shotgun approach and say, we need to meet with ministers. We need to be, Georgian Bluffs needs to be in the face of the ministers. I think the last 2 or 3 years, we've partnered with other people, but we haven't taken initiative on ourselves, right? And, you look at some of our capital needs coming up, it doesn't hurt. I think you're going to see federal and provincial funding start to flow, and the delegations, I think, will give us a backbone for where we need to be.
Did you, Councillor Colbert?
Further to Councillor Winters' comments, for us, I find it's a little difficult to know when did we last delegate on something, and is the county already delegating on something on our behalf? Without that information, I would like to see in the future a report come back just to get us caught up on what's been presented, because we don't all go to every conference. So we're not aware of what might have been presented previously. So I do agree with Councillor Winters. I think anytime we can take the opportunity to have their ear, we ought to take advantage.
I'm going to suggest the last time we actually delegated was for infrastructure 2 years ago at Good Roads, and we took the lead with support from Southgate, Hanover, West Grey, and Owen Sound on that one. And that was to Minister Kinga Surma's deputy that we spoke to. And I don't think anything came back of that, but that would have been the last time that we did. We've also participated, I think Councillor Day was part of it this summer, on physician recruitment at AMO. We've partnered there 2 other times that I know of to Minister Jones on physician recruitment, with Owen Sound, Phil Eagleson having taken the lead on that. I think that's another one that we could look at and find out if Owen Sound is once again delegating on that and join them. Infrastructure, I wonder if a better fit for that would be Good Roads, and we put some more thought into what exactly we would ask for and go for that one. Deputy Mayor and I will find out tomorrow what the county is doing for delegations. That's part of the agenda items that they will be giving a listing of. CAO?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. Councillor Winters, excellent point. I've heard you there. I think you're also right on the nose. We have read about the federal budget, and I think that some funding is going to flow, and it's going to be directed in that capacity. When we talked about delegations, we thought we had a short runway to get to that window, and also looking at the timing of that, for us to put together something and look for some infrastructure funding, we thought Good Roads might be the best opportunity for a delegation there. So you will hear us come back to you about projects there. I think for us, delegation aside, I also think you're right on, funding will be there, so we need to come back to you about our vision and what projects we think are going to be the best for us and be ready to go with those when funding opportunities appear. So heard you, I think you're right on. You'll see us for this delegation for Roma, and you'll hear us come back to you about what's appropriate for Good Roads as well.
Any other comments there? Okay. Next item then, I think 9.3.7, Councillor Winters.
Thank you. This is in support of Stone Mills, where advocacy for funding to deal with the Emerald Ash Borer. I think every municipality is, we're into it now. It's going to continue for the next 5 to 10 years. And I think we should support and look for funding from the province to deal with our dying ash trees. I think it's a bigger issue than what we've actually identified. I think as a municipality, we're no different than anybody else, but we really only go on what we can see visually from the road and what complaints come in. But I think when you really analyze all the public properties we have, this is a huge issue, and any funding would be supportive.
I was going to pull that one and we'll happily second.
Okay. So Councillor Winters is moving that. Councillor Day is seconding. Any further comment or questions on that one? Seeing none, I will call the vote on that item. That is carried. Next item, 9.3.8.
Again, that's another one that's bothered me since the inception of this program, is extended producer responsibility, where it's excluded non-residential properties and mixed properties are excluded and whatnot. And I don't think we're heading in the right direction with our recycling targets when we start excluding sectors of population that have existed before. And I think we're going the wrong way. And any support that we can give to the province to say, listen, we need to implement this and get it back to where it is with mixed residential.
Councillor Day?
I support this one as well, and would also like to add that this doesn't just impact businesses, but it impacts not-for-profits as well. The United Way was recently talking about how their backpack program, for example, it will be impacted by this, as the recycling will no longer be provided for any of the materials that arrive in boxes to their backpack program, which supports students in all municipalities and whoever. So I think it's a key one to make comment on.
Thank you. So Councillor Winters
Yes.
and Councillor Day is seconding that one. Any other comments? Councillor Coburn?
So in light of Councillor Day's remarks, do we need to change the wording of the resolution in number 1 to reflect nonprofits as well, or do you just want to focus on businesses?
Should focus on anything that.
Correct.
Yeah. I would agree to changing the wording. Businesses and nonprofits.
For clarity.
Yeah. I'll turn to the clerk. Do you need
Thank you, Madam President.
anything further there?
I think the direction for the letter of support, with the slight amendment, that our position is clear, that it's for businesses and also nonprofits is sufficient for our purposes.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that one? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? Excellent. Moving on.
Currently voting no.
Sorry for you, Mayor Carlton, just a motion to receive item 9.1.1 for information.
Yes, I thought of that after we moved on. Motion to accept that. Councillor Coburn, you wish to, and Councillor Schuldeis. Any further discussion on that one? We'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Sorry, thought of that one after we got to the next one. Reports, we have no committee reports, no information reports, recommendation reports. The recommendation is that the 2025 emergency plan program and appendices therein are hereby approved, and that bylaw 2025-071 being a bylaw to adopt the 2025 emergency program, including an emergency plan, be enacted, and that staff are hereby directed to submit all necessary documents to Emergency Management Ontario prior to year's end. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor McComb, Councillor Winters, is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Through you, Mayor Carlton, I'm happy to provide some high-level commentary if council has any questions.
Questions, anyone?
I'll just give my spiel and then.
You go right ahead, and I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to note that this report should look familiar to council and that this is an annual report that council receives along with the bylaw and the program and all of the updates contained therein. Following council's ratification of all of the documents here tonight, we will receive a hard copy of the plan, appendices, and the program, so you have it in the event that there's an actual emergency. The documents will be submitted to the province to fulfill the township and council's responsibilities through the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. Again, this is a requirement on an annual basis. You'll also note in this iteration of the report, we reflect upon the new partnership that the township has created with Gervais Consulting. That's an emergency management professional firm that we've partnered with to move our program and plan beyond simple compliance. So in the event that a emergency scenario is actually upon us, we will have the resources to pull upon, not only people resources, but documents and resources on paper that will help us kind of maneuver through unique individual emergency scenarios. And that's not something that the township has had before. So we're making very good strides in actually being prepared for an emergency rather than only being prepared on paper. And through that, through your chair, Mayor Carlton, I'm happy to answer any questions.
A comment, if that's all right. I read this a number of days ago without that context and was impressed at that point with how comprehensive it is and the idea of drawing in a third party rather than relying on fire chiefs and so forth when they're presumably busy with other actions at that time. I thought it was something that the township should be really proud of. So yeah, well done.
Other comments? Councillor Colbert.
Appendix A what's the title of Appendix A?
Appendix A is the Emergency Management Program. The program is separate from the plan.
Okay, because on page 11, it refers to the emergency, Appendix A, emergency contract list. Do you mean contact list?
And that will be provided in the binder provided to council each uniquely, so you have the emergency contact list on the event of an emergency.
So you can just correct that. Thank you.
Any further comments? Seeing none, thank you for that. And I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Next item is the collective bargaining agreement. Recommendation is that the collective bargaining agreement between the Service Employees International Union Local 2 and the Corporation of the Township of Georgian Bluffs be approved, and that bylaw 2025-072, being a bylaw to approve the collective bargaining agreement, be enacted. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Pringle, Councillor Schuldeis. Crystal, are you commenting on this?
Just a few highlights from this. It would be a 3-year agreement with our outside workers, which includes our road operators and our facility operators. The union has ratified their vote on this, so they are in agreement with this. One thing I did want to note is that our road staff will continue doing 8-hour shifts Monday to Thursday with 6-hour shifts on Fridays throughout the year. We will not be moving away from that schedule. Our facility operators will continue with their 4-10 schedule. The winter season is in effect now. Thank you to the snow that brought it in full gear. Overtime and call-ins are by plow route, then by the seniority at the shop, and then third for seniority based union-wide. And any increases for this year were based on about approximately $1 to $3, depending on the person and the position and their step and their grid. And then for Wage increases for 2026 and 2027, they were 2.5%. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Mark Rowland. Yeah, good report, Crystal. I was just a little, when I seen wage adjustments from $1.33 to $3 an hour, what step is $3 an hour on a wage adjustment? I was just, so my curiosity was, we could actually be talking 10% increase for somebody if that's the bracket that it falls in. I just wondered where that fell into the realm of numbers.
This was trying to organize the grid and make it more space between a lead hand, an operator 2, and operator 1. So it would be a definition, I believe, of operator 2, but I just will try to pull that for you. And say would be the operator 2 would see the highest increase at step 3, job rate being. So if someone is already at that position, they would get that increase, but some may not be already at that.
Oh, and just for clarity there too, so the range is $1.33 to $3 an hour this year. That's it.
Yeah.
And then next year's 2.5%.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Zoning bylaws, we have none. Other bylaws. The emergency plan and program, the recommendation is that bylaw 2025-071, being a bylaw to adopt the 2025 emergency management plan and program for the Township of Georgian Bluffs, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Day, Councillor McComb. Any further discussion? We'll call the vote. All in favor? It is carried. Bylaw regarding the SEIU agreement. The recommendation is that bylaw 2025-072, being a bylaw to authorize a collective bargaining agreement with the Service Employees International Unit, SEIU, Local 2, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Shouldice, Councillor McComb, is there any discussion? I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. We have no unfinished business. Under new business, environmental initiatives, further to notice provided by Councillor Isaac Shouldice. And I'll turn it over to Councillor Shouldice for comment.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is maybe a couple weeks late. I was hoping to time this right, and that's okay. But I'll say that the intent behind this motion is simply to celebrate the work being done through our environmental initiatives coordinator position. This is a temporary 3-year contract at a price tag of $270,000. And I think council and the ratepayers would benefit from a clear summary of the initiatives completed and the outcomes achieved within the first year of work. The position was filled in early October 2024, and council hasn't yet received a report highlighting the accomplishments from the first year of this role. Having that information would allow us to recognize progress and ensure that the position continues to align with our environmental and fiscal priorities.
Turning to the clerk, do we need a motion on that, or, okay. I will assume Councillor Shouldice, you wish to make that motion. We need a seconder then, please. Councillor McComb, any further discussion on this? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Does any member wish to provide a notice of motion or notice of discussion? Councillor Cover.
I will be bringing a motion to council on our meeting December 3rd regarding an inventory and details about municipally owned property.
Any others? Okay, seeing none, closed session. Recommendation is that the council of the Township of Georgian Bluffs move into closed session at 6:04 p.m. in the Sarawak room with the Chief Administrative Officer, Deputy CAO, Director of Corporate Services, Director of Development and Infrastructure, Manager of Engineering, and Manager of Legislative Services / clerk remaining in the room to discuss 16.1 advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, open meeting exemption F of section 239 subsection 2 of the Municipal Act 2001 contract negotiations. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Pringle, Councillor Winters, is there any discussion? Call the vote, all in favor. That is carried. We are now going into closed session.
Georgian Bluff has a lot of activities to do. It's really nature driven, and it's like the community is very nice, very friendly. And a lot of the locals come here every single day and they think of it as their therapy.
We're the Farouk family. We started farm on the lake, and the community, everybody around it, the support structure, the township has actually made us to who we are today. And now that we have this set up, this whole operation is well received by the community. People drive down from far, far away to do camping, glamping with us.
A lot of people come from far away to see the goats, and they're really amazed. Sometimes we feed the babies in front of them.
When we think about Georgian Bluffs, it's really the Reiki forest bathing that comes to my mind. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and we were looking to bring our people for a retreat, and this property just popped up, and we realized that behind it's a beautiful forest. Every time we are driving up, I feel so relaxed. The air is amazing.
If you're an outdoor enthusiast, there's never-ending things to do. There's the hiking all over through the escarpment. There's the bay, the water, if you're into water sports or sailing. And of course, pickleball is growing fast and it's all over the place right now. So there's lots to do.
What we enjoy the most about Georgian Bluff is having access to the beautiful nature around us, the cultural impact from the First Nations to the local artists,
the trails, and so many great things to do, and lots of business opportunity here, and tourism as well to support our business.
First off, what I love about the area is the scenery. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, it's right in the name of the municipality, the Bluffs. Another thing too that I noticed from living through here is all the small communities throughout Georgian Bluffs. They're very unique, and they might be very small, but we're very big with heart. Everybody looks out for each other, takes care of each other, and just the way locals support locals. So the ability to have a local business and prosper is very apparent here in Georgian Bluffs.
People are more genuine here. People are more sincere. They're kind. They know the word please and thank you. It's the way life used to be. It's more simpler. You feel like you're part of something.
The Township of Georgian Bluffs as a municipality is proud to serve its residents, whether it be looking after infrastructure, looking after our roads, grading our gravel roads, looking after our parks, our trails, our community centres, our ice arena, or providing the services that residents rely on every single day when they come to our township offices. I'm proud to lead a team which is here serving the residents of Georgian Bluffs every single day.
What we'd like to see Georgian Bluffs going forward is really more people coming to experience this beautiful energy, this relaxed energy. Because over here in Georgian Bluffs, I can hear the wind, I can hear the trees talking. It's just amazingly relaxing.
Welcoming more people, yet with the same foundation and principles of community, of respect, and of moral.
It would be great for Georgian Bluffs to continue to support, nature and the beauty that we have here, and to keep our area clean and beautiful.
I hope to see more local businesses, more sustainable living, and more families just moving up here and living and prospering off their land and their property.
For me and my family, Georgian Bluffs means being close to nature. Having the escarpment to hike and the water of Georgian Bay at our doorstep is something that draws us to being part of this community. The family-friendly neighbourhoods, the fact that I can connect with my neighbours and see them on the street, say hello, and I know the people I'm seeing each day is something which for me is something I treasure and my family treasures about being in Georgian Bluffs.
are Dirk and Alma DeVries, and we are coming to you from Dual Acres. This is a beautiful property in Georgian Bluffs that we own, and we run horse-drawn sleigh and carriage rides from.
So today we're going to have Dan and Juliet. Dan's a 12-year-old gelding and Juliet's a 12-year-old mare. Come on, Dan. When people come here, we invite them to come back to our shack. And they go in there and they can get ready to go, get dressed, whatever they need to do, and stay warm till the ride starts. And then we bring the horses out of this sleigh shed here. And they get on, and we take them roughly for a 40-minute ride, all through hardwood and softwood bush. So the whole experience is in woods. When we return here, we drop them off here. They can go in, and there's a big wood stove in there. They warm up, and if they so desire, they can also enjoy a cup of hot chocolate. We build all our own sleighs, and the reason for that is sleighs in Ontario came with a width of stance to the runner width of 3 feet, and that was designed to work in the bush and whatnot. But a 3-foot stance is very tippy when you get people. People are like hauling water. There's always a second motion. And that second motion is the motion that'll tip the sleighs. So I rebuild all the sleighs to a 4-foot wide stance. And that's very stable. You cannot tip them. Our sleighs are also adaptable to handle wheelchairs, which we discovered early. There's that need there that people with disabilities need, that we needed to provide.
We've done lots of charity work. We did Santa Sleigh Ride here on the farm. That actually helped really for people to be aware that we were here. But we always have a passion, especially for children with special needs. That was one way that we were able to give back to the community. Every year we host a ride here for the GRACE program, which is the Georgian Riding Association for Challenged Equestrians.
Horses and dogs are exactly the same. If you want the horse or the dogs to go right, you say G. If you want them to go left, you say haw. I've done thousands of rides and I never get tired of it because it's the horses that are the enjoyment. And the people are, we have people from all over, and there's so many different stories and so many good people out there that you meet.
I hope that when people come to our farm here and enjoy a sleigh or wagon ride through the bush, that they enjoy the bush, the beauty of nature here, and just go away feeling relaxed and rejuvenated.
The Welcome Package is a tool that was developed by GB Lip's subcommittee community. It was a tool that was supposed to be used for municipalities to share information with new residents, specifically immigrants coming to their communities, in a consistent way across Grey and Bruce counties. And what's great about it is the package was actually translated into multiple different languages.
As my own personal lived experience as an immigrant, not everything was accessible to me with the click of my hand. But the welcome package, if you look up the municipality website, all the information that you need about the schools, about the local hospitals, about the local grocery stores, about the settlement service provided in your area. So I think it is a one-stop shop for all your settlement needs.
Georgian Bluff has a lot of activities to do. It's really nature driven, and it's like the community is very nice, very friendly.
We started Farm on the Lake, and the community, everybody around it, the support structure, the township has actually made us to who we are today.
Every time we are driving up, I feel so relaxed. The air is amazing. I can hear the wind, I can hear the trees talking. It's just amazingly relaxing.
If you're an outdoor enthusiast, there's never-ending things to do. There's the hiking all over through the escarpment. There's the bay, the water. If you're into water sports or sailing, of course, pickleball is growing fast and it's all over the place right now. So there's lots to do.
What we enjoy the most about Georgian Bluff is having access to the beautiful nature around us, the cultural impact from the First Nations to the local artists.
First off, what I love about the area is the scenery. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, it's right in the name of the municipality, the Bluffs. Everybody looks out for each other, takes care of each other, and just the way locals support locals. So the ability to have a local business and prosper is very apparent here in Georgian Bluffs.
People are more genuine here. People are more sincere. They're kind. They know the word please and thank you. It's the way life used to be. It's more simpler. You feel like you're part of something.
It would be great for Georgian Bluffs to continue to support, nature and the beauty that we have here, and to keep our area clean and beautiful.
For me and my family, Georgian Bluffs means being close to nature. Having the escarpment to hike and the water of Georgian Bay at our doorstep is something that draws us to being part of this community. The family-friendly neighbourhoods, the fact that I can connect with my neighbours and see them on the street, say hello, and I know the people I'm seeing each day, is something which for me is something I treasure and my family treasures about being in Georgian Bluffs.
Georgian Bluff has a lot of activities to do. It's really nature driven, and it's like the community is very nice, very friendly. And a lot of the locals come here every single day and they think of it as their therapy.
We're the Farouk family. We started Farm on the Lake, and the community, everybody around it, the support structure, the township has actually made us to who we are today. And now that we have this set up, this whole operation is well received by the community. People drive down from far, far away to do camping, glamping with us.
A lot of people come from far away to see the goats, and they're really amazed. Sometimes we feed the babies in front of them.
When we think about Georgian Bluffs, it's really the Reiki forest bathing that comes to my mind. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and we were looking to bring our people for a retreat, and this property just popped up, and we realized that behind is a beautiful forest. Every time we are driving up, I feel so relaxed. The air is amazing.
If you're an outdoor enthusiast, there's never-ending things to do. There's the hiking all over through the escarpment. There's the bay, the water, if you're into water sports or sailing. And of course, pickleball is growing fast and it's all over the place right now. So there's lots to do.
What we enjoy the most about Georgian Bluff is having access to the beautiful nature around us, the cultural impact from the First Nations to the local artists,
The trails and so many great things to do, and lots of business opportunity here, and tourism as well to support our business.
First off, what I love about the area is the scenery. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, it's right in the name of the municipality, the Bluffs. Another thing too that I noticed from living through here is all the small communities throughout Georgian Bluffs. They're very unique, and they might be very small, but we're very big with heart. Everybody looks out for each other, takes care of each other, and just the way locals support locals. So the ability to have a local business and prosper is very apparent here in Georgian Bluffs.
People are more genuine here. People are more sincere. They're kind. They know the word please and thank you. It's the way life used to be. It's more simpler. You feel like you're part of something.
The Township of Georgian Bluffs as a municipality is proud to serve its residents, whether it be looking after infrastructure, looking after our roads, grading our gravel roads, looking after our parks, our trails, our community centres, our ice arena, or providing the services that residents rely on every single day when they come to our township offices. I'm proud to lead a team which is here serving the residents of Georgian Bluffs every single day.
what we'd like to see Georgian Bluffs going forward is really more people come in to experience this beautiful energy, this relaxed energy. Because over here in Georgian Bluffs, I can hear the wind, I can hear the trees talking. It's just amazingly relaxing.
Welcoming more people, yet with the same foundation and principles of community, of respect, and of moral.
It would be great for Georgian Bluffs to continue to support, nature and the beauty that we have here, and to keep our area clean and beautiful.
I hope to see more local businesses, more sustainable living, and more families just moving up here and living and prospering off their land and their property.
For me and my family, Georgian Bluffs means being close to nature, having the escarpment to hike and the water of Georgian Bay at our doorstep is something that draws us to being part of this community. The family-friendly neighbourhoods, the fact I can connect with my neighbours and see them on the street, say hello, and I know the people I'm seeing each day is something which for me is something I treasure and my family treasures about being in Georgian Bluffs.
nominations tomorrow too, right?
Okay, we are back in open session. We note that council went into closed session under open meeting exemption F of section 239, subsection 2 of the Municipal Act 2001. As a result of closed session discussions, the following actions were taken. 16.1, direction was provided to staff. The next is confirming bylaw. I'll read the recommendation that bylaw number 2025-067 and bylaw number 2025-073, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council on October 16th, 2025 and November 12th, 2025, be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and engrossed in the bylaw book. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Schultes, Councillor McComb. If there's no further discussion, I will call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. Date of our next regular meeting is next Wednesday, November 19th at 5 p.m. Next recommendation is that the meeting be adjourned at 6:37 p.m. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Pringle, Councillor Schultes, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone.